All right, everyone, as though you needed any evidence that Marianne Williamson's presidential ambitions were a fucking joke, she's lost her campaign manager and her deputy campaign manager over the last 48 hours. Peter Dow left and then Jason Call left. And he said, yeah, I resigned. So she didn't fire them. They both decided to resign in short order. That shows you something. When both the campaign manager and the person who would become campaign manager in his absence are both gone within that shorter period of time, it's probably because there was an altercation of some sort, or because they met with each other. They said, look, the writing's on the wall. Not only is the campaign, nobody expected the campaign to go anywhere anyway, but they probably expected it to do well enough so they could get, booking engagements, they could get on the legacy media. They could prepare to write a novel about their spectacular adventure going up against the evil liberals, because, of course, Marianne Williamson likes to rail against her own party because she comes out of the far, far left. So she's like AOC if AOC were into mysticism, basically. My advice to Marianne Williamson is admit that even your grift is not working. You don't have enough. RFK Jr. is getting much more attention than you. At least his grift is plausible, and at least he's far out there enough on the right issues as opposed to simply coming out from commie left field. There are plenty of people in the Dem Party already stealing your thunder just by existing. AOC comes out with a statement, it's going to get 10 times as many viewers as you. My advice would be to take the money and run and open up a series of Wiccan bookstores or crystal shops in strip malls or something. You've probably got enough money to have a nice little small business empire in your locality. You could. Why don't you open up a store in San Francisco? I'm sure it won't get looted, right? With a branch in Chicago, maybe New York City. So she's lost her campaign manager. So she doesn't have a campaign at the moment. The people with any experience that were on the campaign are gone. She already has a shoestring budget because nobody takes her seriously, and why would they? There is no Bernie Sanders in this election cycle. You've got the inevitability, assuming he doesn't croak or have a change of heart or something, Joe Biden will be the Dem nominee. He's the incumbent. The fact is that Marianne Williamson, RFK Jr., anyone else that jumps in aren't going anywhere. By the way, Gavin Newsom has endorsed officially Joe Biden. So, again, unless Joe Biden slips and ends up in a coma after cracking his skull on the Air Force One steps, or dies, or has some other major crisis forcing him to withdraw, he will be the one that is nominated. Whether he wins in the general is definitely up in the air, especially since then he has to continue to survive for another year in his early 80s with multiple health issues. It's not like, the outlier, some 85-year-old man who still, bikes 100 miles on every weekend. Joe Biden, while he is relatively in shape for his age, has had numerous health problems. He's had aneurysms. He's had multiple falls. He's often in a dementia haze. That's just the way that it is. Sad for him, but he's a sick old man in multiple ways. That being said, he probably does survive through the primaries, probably is not incapacitated at some point in the following year, and so Marianne Williamson, she'll be lucky to get 10 points. She'll be lucky to get any delegates. The states may very well just say, hey, we've got an incumbent, we're just going to allocate him the delegates. It's not clear what she or RFK Jr. want to do other than potentially be up on a debate stage that will be televised by Missing Link Media and some live streamers. Well, that's all well and good, but you need more than 2 people in the race because Biden is refusing to debate you. The DNC is not going to hold any debates. It's similar to the Republican Party. Trump is a technical incumbent ahead by nearly 40 points in what is becoming a fairly packed field. He has no reason to debate. He doesn't give a shit. That's why he's not moving to the right like a traditional case. He's doing more what an incumbent typically does and not budging on the issues. That's because he knows that if he tries to outright Ron DeSantis, it'll harm him in the general election, and he's expecting to easily win the primaries. Marianne Williamson is somehow such a failure as a candidate that in a 3-person field, she's in a deep third place at single digits, and her campaign manager and deputy campaign manager abandon her, out of nowhere. She's no longer functionally got a campaign. Your grift is up. Your grift is dead. Again, there's no real movement for a leftoid candidate in the field right now. Anyone that would have pushed for that, by and large, has just said, oh, okay. They've thrown up their hands and they're riding with Biden. Now, they're not happy about that. More than half of Dems don't want him to run. They're not enthusiastic. They're demoralized by Biden's inaction. And probably the election will happen during a recession, which is terrible news for the Democratic Party. but he's probably still going to be your man. There's a 99% chance of that. Again, that 1% has nothing to do with another candidate getting in. Michelle Obama gets in, nobody cares. Hillary Clinton decides, oh yeah, I endorsed him and said I wouldn't run, but I'm Hillary 24. Not going to happen. Biden would still beat you. He's the incumbent. He's got that advantage, the similar advantage to the one that Trump effectively has. The polls represent this, obviously. Anyway, imagine that in a three-person race, you can't scrape together enough supporters. Again, doing the niche issue thing, like RFK Jr. is also doing, to even justify writing a book about your experience. If she's smart, she'll drop out and endorse RFK Jr. Then you would have someone that would have enough credibility, enough of a polling number, that in any states that even hold a contest, you can at least have some delegates. Biden, therefore, would not be effectively unopposed. Right now, if you split the vote even two ways, Biden is effectively an unopposed candidate. He is the incumbent. He's ahead by 45 fucking points or something like that over RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson combined. He's got it in the bag. Trump similarly has the same capability, and he's fending off more than two people. Although I would note, again, they keep polling for people that aren't declared to run, like Mike Pence or Chris Christie. The polling for the Dems makes a lot more sense because they typically limit it only to the people running because everyone else has already given an endorsement. Unfortunately, we don't have that with the Republicans. A lot of people that could run haven't endorsed anyone, so it's becoming a little bit of a nightmarish issue for those of us who want to analyze the polls. One thing I can properly analyze and assure you is that Marianne Williamson's political career is now effectively over. Her campaign has collapsed, and I lean towards thinking that it wasn't like the campaign manager and deputy said, well, this isn't going anywhere, let's just fucking leave. I think it was an altercation. Marianne Williamson has been rumored for years by her staff to be an unpleasant person to work with that is verbally abusive. When she accidentally posted publicly on Twitter what was apparently meant to be a DM or an email telling one of her staff to back the fuck off and let me vet my own, the things that people say to me, like advice it's given to me, just unless it's completely off the chain, send it to me and I'll make the decision about what to do about it and, stop fucking with me. It was very funny. She's a combative individual. She comes off as the Zen hippie grandma surrounded by amethyst crystals and hanging herbs in public. That's her persona. In real life, multiple individuals have told a different story. I'm wondering if the campaign manager or the deputy are going to come out and say something to that effect. Oh yeah, she threw a fucking bottle of gin at my head. I couldn't believe it. I thought she was a nice lady and shit. I'd rather work for goddamn Biden and he kills babies in Yemen. It'd be very interesting if one of them were to decide to throw her under the bus. Maybe we'll get to see it. That would be hilarious. That's about all. Peace out.